Uche is a seasoned data scientist, data analyst. He actually studied masters in applied data science from Teesside University in the UK. So he's currently practicing data analysis in the UK. So he's a seasoned data analyst with some years of experience in data analysis. Uche specializes in Python, RSQL, Power BI, and also in implementing data-driven strategies to optimize processes and drive business outcomes. So you can ask him any question you have about data analytics, anything that's confusing you, anything that you hope will help you to get your career started in data analysis. You have the right person here to ask questions. So welcome once more, Uche. We're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Uche. So I currently work in Darlington Borough Council in the United Kingdom. My background is from electrical engineering. So I actually started as an engineering student before I migrated into the tech field as a data analyst. So I was able to come here for my master's, and after the master's, thank you, Uche. After my master's, I've been able to gather some experience, and it's been helpful. We'll be talking about data analysis today. So it's very important for us to know what data is. We use information on a daily basis. We browse the internet, we eat, we cook, we work out, we do all sorts of things, and all these things are being done with the help of data. So data analysis is very important for our individual lives and also as businesses. So most business thrives on data, because without data they can't be able to make informed decisions and be able to forecast of what the business or what trends will be like, let's say in a few days to come, or a few months to come. So it's very important for us to understand how big the data industry is, and there's room for everybody. So you just have to tap into it as early as possible, so you'll be among the pioneers in your various fields or sectors of life. So today we'll be talking about brief introduction, importance, workflow, tools we can use as data analysts, common challenges faced, and the most important thing, how to land the data analyst role. Then I'll accommodate any questions and answer any questions we have. So at the end of today, I believe I'll be able to explain all we need to know about data analysis, identify steps in the data analysis workflow, and also tell us or show us the most important tools that are necessary, because there are a lot of tools used in analyzing data. So we need to know those key tools that are recognized globally and the ones we need to learn as early as possible, because with those basic ones you can use any system or any tools being presented to you in your workplace. So we also recognize real-world applications, how to implement the usage of those tools, in what scenarios, which scenario do you use a certain tool, and what scenario do you use the next tool. So you should know how to use those tools and the cases you use them for. So we'll be able to interact with one another, ask questions, and possibly decide to move into data analysis fully. So if I may ask, can anybody tell me what they understand about data analysis? So it will be more interactive, so I don't have to read all through. Okay, go on, sorry.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so data analysis is like a form of collecting specific metric for a certain purpose, to be able to create like a more decisive information on the next course of action to take in a business or something like that.
Okay, thank you. So you've got it very right. It's very important for us to understand data information. So let's take, for instance, in Nigeria, if you walk somewhere around Lagos, if you understand how, let's say, those the food industry work, you will see at a certain time of the day, those people selling food have what they sell. Let's say in the morning, when you come in the morning, you see them selling things like buns, loaf, akara, just those quick fix people can eat as they go to work. Then during the midday, you see them selling rice. So if those sellers don't know their target audience or the information from their customers, don't know what the customer wants. You see them not being able to meet up with the demands at a certain time. So this applies to businesses as well, because most businesses need to understand when you collect data over time, you clean it, you organize it, you interpret it, you visualize it. With those informations you've gathered over time, it will be very easy for you to make informed decision. And whatever decision you take based on the data, the history of the data you have, it gives you the most accurate picture of the business or the industry. So it's very helpful for us to understand the basics. So let's say, for instance, I'm a data analyst. I work not just with the council, I also work with the police. So I do like crime analysis, where I try to map where crimes have been committed within the last, so it depends on the report, within the last, say, 30 days or bi-monthly or quarterly. So with those mapping, it will be easier for, let's say, the police or enforcement team to channel workforces in the right direction. So we don't just keep walking around without knowing where we should channel our workforce. So it helps the management, those in operations, those taking decisions, to understand what the picture is and be able to target or provide solutions towards achieving or mitigating whatever risks that is ahead or whatever thing that will be presented before us. So that is what we need to understand as data analysis. So during the whole process, you have to collect data, you process it through cleaning, organizing, removing errors, duplicates, and applying statistical methods or analytical methods towards its, let's say, its predictive model. So whatever thing you're working on, so you should be able to understand what the problem is or what the challenge is and know the skill or the idea towards achieving it. Then the most important thing, you might analyze data very well, but if you communicate the data effectively to the audience, let's say whether technical audience or non-technical audience, then there is a hindrance in communication. So we need to try as much as possible to not just learn the skills, we should also learn how to present our findings, the trends, the patterns, how to present it. So at a glance, you'll be able to understand what the information we have before us is. Various types of data. We have text data. So it's true text, wordy, so it's not like numbers or figures. So there are better ways to present text data, either using word cloud. You have to use some predictive models to know the length of the text and how, more like to know the idea behind the content of the text. Let's say you want to review customer satisfaction or customer behavior. So there are different approaches to whichever task they have been assigned to do or whatever the industry is. So for health sectors, they have their own approach to how data is being used or collated. So for the text sector, they have, for production, they have. So every sector have what they do with the information and the best way they believe the information will be used or effective for them. So this slide shows us what types of data we have, and we should understand that these types won't be in all the sectors or all industries. So some sectors just deal with statistics, numbers, figures, while some sectors they'll give you information, then they want you to forecast using some metrics or using the previous behavioral pattern of, let's say, customers or patients. So it all depends on what the businesses want. So as a data analyst, you can fit in any industry, be it in the banking sector, health sector, retail, manufacturing, oil. So any sector is in need of someone to analyze the information they have and make it more presentable. And as a data analyst, you find out that you'll be opportune to sit in meetings where you'll be given the opportunity to carry out presentation on your findings, and you'll be able to profile solutions, not just giving the presentation. At the end, you'll be able to give a summary of what is expected for the management or the team to achieve the set goals. So the importance of data analysis, it helps us to be efficient, reduces risk reduction, and makes the business to be profitable. So from the dashboard on the right, men looking at this, you know what the dashboard is saying. So number of calls per agent, you already know the person that's answered the most number of calls among the agents. Then the reasons of calls on the other right, you know what it entails, and which just at a glance, you already know what this dashboard is telling us about. So this this is just a simple dashboard representation. So there are other sophisticated ways to represent a dashboard. So, but this one, you can do this with either Power BI, Excel, Tableau. So this will just help. Let's say you want to know how many customers that have reported on certain incidents. So with this, at a mere glance, if you just present this to your manager, they'll be able to understand what the chat is or what the problem is, or agents that are not meeting up to their key performance indicators. So they'll be able to either upskill those agents or maybe give them some warning or just give them little motivation so they'll be able to meet up to the expected demands. So it's very important for us as well to understand data analysis workflow. So the process is expected of us. So first things first, you need to know the objective behind what the task is or what you are being told to do. So let's say, for instance, in my day-to-day work, on resumption, I carry out like a crime analysis for the last 24 hours. So make sure that report is ready before 9 or half 9 for those that will be starting work by 9 or 10. So with that report, it's easier for anybody. Let's say the manager comes in with at a glance, he knows what his problem was from the previous 24 hours and be able to prefer or profile solutions towards the demands of certain areas or where they should channel their resources to. Because in a time like this where we have access to millions of data, it's very important for us to strategize so we don't just keep walking around the clock. Now, it's gone past the area of, let's say, hard work or trying to sweat day and night. Now we are being expected to work smartly. So working smartly does not mean you are not working hard, but you try as much as possible to reduce duplicates, reduce stress, and reduce anything that will help you save more hours into your day or save more strength, more like reserving your energy so you don't keep walking around the clock. So once you know the target location, you'll be able to channel your forces to those locations, and at the end of the day, it's very important because the data don't lie. It's always there to prove a point and always there to direct us in the right way to go. So once you know the objective of the task you have been assigned to do or the industry you're working, you'll be able to collect data. So you can collect data from surveys, different databases, APIs. You clean it. You can clean data using Excel. So sometimes I extract data from the database, use Excel to do some cleaning before moving into Power BI because it's quite easier, and Excel is more like user-friendly. Unlike once you move into Power BI, you just need to start visualizing. So you explore the data, you analyze, and most and foremost, you have to know how to communicate those findings in a clear term and clear visuals so you don't get complicated. So as a data analyst, we also know it's just like if you're a farmer or a farmer, you can't just go to farm without cutlass, hoe, machetes, those basic equipment needed to achieve, let's say, cultivation or harvesting. So depending on the task the farmer is going out to carry. So the same way as a data analyst, there are tools we need to know how to use. You might not know how to use them to the most sophisticated way, but knowing how to present your projects, your portfolios, what you've done using those tools will be very effective because in some interviews, once you sit, if you are talking, you don't just say, I did this, I did that. You'll be able to show the project because most of the organizations now, they don't want someone just carrying a certificate. So they want someone that can actually put that certification or that knowledge into work and be able to see it. So like for myself, my current role, I was able to show the Power BI dashboards I've done because on the day of the interview, I was talking and the manager just asked, do you know how to use the tool? So I said, I know how to use it and I even have projects that I've done to show. So he said, okay, I'll give you a few minutes to get your laptop and show. So that alone gives you an edge over anybody that's coming there to tell them I know how to use it and without showing proof. So you need to be always ready to show the proof of what you do or what you know how to do. Because honestly, a lot of us know how to use these tools, even if it's the basic things on these tools, but we don't know how to showcase them to the world. Because once you show that you know how to use these tools, it's quite easier for someone to say, oh, the fact that this person knows the basics, upskilling them or giving them more knowledge about the tool won't be difficult for us. Because currently in my role, Excel, Python, Power BI, I don't use them regularly, but they have their own systems. They have different systems. The police, so I have access to 2 laptops. So the police laptop, they have different systems. The council one have different systems. So you have to know that as an analyst, you're expected to be trainable. You not just say you know it all. You have to give room for upskilling, give room for more information, getting more information, more knowledge. So once you are the type that the manager sees you approachable, you're understandable, and you'll be willing to learn more, they'll give you the opportunity and give you the room to grow. So the idea behind management is you hardly see a manager that just wants to make you unsuccessful, unproductive. So most managers give you all the necessary tools you need, be it training, guidance. So you just have to be in the right frame of mind, because it's quite easy for you to just walk up to someone and be rude to the person because you want to get something done, and you just walk up to the person and you'll be calm and quietly you get that which you want from that person even without saying a word. So we need to understand how to communicate what we know to those that don't know it, so they'll be able to understand the fact that, oh, this person knows it, and this person, if given more opportunity, will learn and grow in the field. So every task or every skill, every business has its own challenges, its own obstacles. Those doing crypto, we see there are times of dips and falls. You lose your money, you gain some. So those doing production, we know that when producing in a production line, you need to give room for tolerance. So like in engineering, you understand there's always a tolerance, plus or minus 5 in whatever you are doing, plus or minus 0.5. So it depends on the calculation you are doing. You give that tolerance. So the tolerance has been built into the formula to give that resilience. So whatever the challenge is, you fall within the range. So the same way data has its own tolerance. So let's say it has its own challenges. Say data overload. So it might be much. The issue that we usually have is data not being in one system. So you'll be able to collate data from different systems just to make a report. So which is quite stressful, but it's to put those data into one system is still cost demanding. So we try as much as possible to work with the best possible way and be able to explain the source of your data, because you might provide a report and you just present the report and the people in the panel will be asking you, where did you get the data from? So on your report, always state the source of your data. It's quite important. So it gives them an insight into where you've gotten the data. Even if they have idea of that source, they'll be able to go back and query the source. If they now have further questions, they'll come back. But once you don't give that information, then you've started giving rooms for more query or more questions coming your way. So you need to prevent all those questions. So make all the steps you took towards achieving the project quite easy for anybody to have a glance and understand this was what this person did to get to this position or to get to this solution. So we should try as much as possible to know how to communicate effectively, be it our reports or presentations or dashboards. So there are ways to overcome these challenges through automation for cleaning. So break problems into smaller and manageable steps. So that is like if you used to project management methodologies, so you know how to do them into little bits. So it will keep, be it agile method or Prince 2 method you are using, it will be easier for you to manage projects when they're in little forms. So let's say you want to design a website, you first do the front, the subtitles. So once you take those websites, the steps of each content of the website, gradually you'll be able to achieve it. Then at the end, you put everything in one complete picture to show what you've done over time. So trying to take your tasks in manageable bits is very important. Also, when there's need for us to upskill, because no man is an island, so there's always need for us to upskill. So here at Dot Campus, you can gain. So it's also important for us to know that the most important thing is still has to do with money, because it helps us to support and sustain our life. So unless there's anybody here that don't like money, if we have such people in our midst, then that might be the challenge. But I believe all of us here, we won't mind gaining more. So gaining more, you don't just fold your hands, you need to take action, you need to put in time. So time is also money. So those time you put in, towards learning these skills, these tools, these approaches, and your communication and presentation skills will be what is then converted into this money you are seeing on the screen now. So be it your entry level, early career, mid career, experienced, and later career. So all this has been factored in because it's been understood that the person has put in some work towards getting to this stage in life. So that work needs to be in line with the demand of the let's say the sector, and also the financial needs as well. So let's say you are running, you take part in a 100-meter race. So while running, your eyes is on the end product, which is to reach the finish line. So my motivation to you today is that as you are trying to learn, as you are looking at achieving these skills, your motivation should be on what you have to achieve. Let's say you target entry-level roles, be it virtually, you could start doing freelancing on Fiverr, Upwork, so be it those avenues where you can just show your little skills, because these days in some establishments they still use Excel. So if you are very good in Excel, know how to do pivot tables, know how to query large data using Excel, you are still valuable. So there is no tool that is more important than the other. The only thing is that, do you know those tools? Can you present those tools? Can you show the next person what can be done using those tools? So if you can do all this, then it's quite easy for you to be in this position, be it the entry level or the early career. So it's quite important for us to be ready to discuss our portfolio and also problem solving approaches. Because in interviews, you'll be asked questions. How do you solve this in this situation? How do you do this? So you'll be able to understand the approach towards answering those questions. Because if you've done them firsthand, it's quite easier for you to explain, unlike when you are just reading it and trying to go there to give them the answer. So those portfolios, those projects, those discussions you have with your mentors and your colleagues will help shape you towards achieving success or preparing for the interviews. Because for you to get the job, you need to be at the interview stage, and you also need to prepare very well for you to be able to ace the interview. Because in interviews, they can ask you technical questions, they can just ask you problem solving questions, just to test the person to know what it is working with you. Because most establishments during the recruiting process, they just recruit people they feel they can work with. Because if you come to an interview panel and you are this kind of person that's talking over somebody, you see it will be difficult for them to work with you, because they won't want someone that from the first day is giving them that red flag that he won't give any space for the manager to even talk or say something. So we need to understand the fact that we have to present ourselves in the best possible way to land the right jobs. So our questions for us today will be, what is the biggest challenge you face as you are learning or planning to learn data analysis? So what challenge are you facing, and which of the tools have you heard of or are you using at the moment? So please just note these questions to come around and just to get a few understanding of where we are with our data analysis journey. So it's quite important for us to understand that we can't just keep talking, we need to start acting. So there's need for us to go into their drawing boards, go back home, sit, have quiet time, and retrospect what do you want to achieve by this time next year, what do you want to achieve by the end of this year. So if what you want to achieve is in line with this, so you have to embrace it, because data analysis is for everyone, and the sky is too big and everyone can always achieve it if you set out those clear goals towards achieving it. So key takeaways, you just have to understand that data analysis turns raw data, raw information into actionable insights and the trends, patterns, so just to help people make the right decisions. Because if you can make the right decisions, you'll be able to save the business from wasteful expenses or reduce risks. So also the importance for us to know the right tools and techniques. So we have to start by taking the first step. So we should understand that it's not all rosy. Some days you might wake up and you don't feel like doing anything. So once you set your eyes on the target or the final result, which is to get a job in a tech field, so you just keep motivating yourself. You motivate yourself, your neighbor will motivate you, your friend will motivate you, your mentor will also motivate you. So we should always speak to people, those we know that are ahead of us, and try to get more understanding and more knowledge from them. So we should explore resources on Dot Campus, on YouTube, ask questions, and you'll be able to get answers, because the problem shared is half solved. Even without a person telling you the answer, the fact you've shared that problem, it gives you like a breathing space for you to now listen for the answer to come forward from the person. So
yeah, thank you so much, Uche. Thank you so much. I think you did justice to this. I got a lot of key takeaways from the session. One of the things that stood out is the interesting thing you had in your interview for the role that you're currently doing, which was that they asked you to show what you've done in your previous learning. And that stood out for me, because we typically tell our learners that, listen, some of these companies are not looking at your certificates, and we lay less emphasis on certificate and more emphasis on what you can actually do and your portfolio. So, sharing that experience actually buttresses that fact. So thank you so much for sharing it. Another thing that stood out was, being trainable, because in some cases, what you're going to learn anywhere, including in Dot Campus, is not exhaustive. So you cannot learn everything that you're supposed to know about data analysis from one course. So being able to be open to training and to get information from different places is also a good skill to actually have as an analyst, as a learner. So thank you so much for all that. It's time for question and answer.
Yeah, so when it comes to tailoring your resume, what are the key elements one should actually identify that will be useful in landing a data analyst job as an entry-level person?
So for your CV, it's very important, because most recruitment process already, the CV is the first step. So if you can scale through that CV, the first step of reducing those that applied. So if you want to land a data analysis job, if you look at, so it depends on the country anyways, I'm speaking based on UK here. So they usually have what we call technical skills and behavioral skills. So it's very important for you to channel your CV towards that, because these days AI is what does the work. So we just need to put that at the back of our mind, because the HR will just pick, let's say he has 100 applications, you run them through a screening software, and that software just selects the number of persons they want. So if you can put in those keywords they're looking for, then you've passed the first hurdle, so taking you to the next stage. So the next stage is now being in front of the panelist. So being in front of the panelist, what you have on your CV, you don't need to read it word for word. So they'll just ask you, okay, tell us in your last role, what did you do? So let's say, for instance, you had a portfolio. If the link is on your CV, you can tell them, give them what you did, then say, furthermore, you can see the link on my CV. So if it's a proactive panel, one of them must have a system open, and they can quickly use through the link you provided on your CV to check the portfolio and ask you live questions. Because like me, when I showed them my Power BI dashboard, this was what the whole project I did when I was during my master's period. So once I showed them, they asked me questions. So the whole question diverted from myself or what I've done previously to what was on that dashboard. So what was on the dashboard explained to us. So it's just a situation whereby most panelists or most interview rooms, they want to learn from you. So if